What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to build a full stack application using the MERN stack. So the MERN stack stands for MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. Alright, so I know there is a lot of you that you would like to see a full stack application with React and Node. So that's exactly what we are going to do in here. Let me show you what we're going to build. We have in here at the moment like our home page, where we could grab all these values from the database, from the MongoDB. And then we have a register page where you can register a user and save it on the database. So it's going to be a simple project, a full stack, where we're going to build the front end with React and the back end with Node and with Express. All right, let me show you. So at the moment, we got all these users that we got on our database. Let me show you our database. At the moment, we are going to be using the MongoDB Atlas. Okay, it's free for everyone that wants to try. We got these 3 users in there. So these 3 in here. And then if I go into register, let's say I'm going to add in here John. So I'm going to add John. And I'm going to add the email of john@email.com. I'm going to press register. It's telling me the user has been registered. If I go back to my home page, now I can see in here John. Okay. And if I go back to my database and I refresh it, which should take just a few seconds, I can see down here I got John as well on the database. All right. One more thing. If I try to register the same user again, like John, and I try to put the same email, it's going to tell me, look, this email is already on the database. So I'm going to put, for example, the emails to be unique. So I can't register this user again, as you can see. All right, so I'm going to be breaking down this project, I think, in 3 parts, if I'm not wrong. So the first part is going to be this one, where I'm going to be building the front end. Then I'm going to make a second video where we're going to do our back end. And then the third video is going to be like connecting everything, like sending the values from the front end to the back end. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code and I'm going to install a new React project. Like I said, this video is just going to be to build the front end. So let's go in here. I'm going to select a folder where I want to install my project, and I'm going to do npx create-react-app. Remember, guys, you need to have Node.js installed on your computer in order to be able to run this kind of commands. So npx create-react-app, and I'm going to call my project in here. Actually, I need to create a folder, first of all, where I can put this stuff inside. So I'm going to go in here, dev projects. I'm going to create in here one called MERN-tut, like this, MERN-tut. Okay, so let me just delete this. I'm going to go inside of MERN-tut. Okay, we are inside of it. Now I'm going to create this. So I'm going to call this npx create-react-app, and I'm going to call this folder client. It's going to be our client side. Okay. I'm going to press to install. And once this is done, I'll come back to you. All right. So looks like everything is installed. So I'm going to close my terminal in here, and I'm going to open that folder that we just created. So I'm going to go in here, is MERN-tut. And I want to open, actually no, let me go up. I want to open this folder called MERN-tut, MERN-tut. And inside, I got this folder client where we have our React application. Okay, let me open the terminal. If I want to start this, I need to go inside of the client. So cd client. And now I can do npm start just to make sure that this is working fine. Okay, so yeah, looks like I have another application running at the moment, so this is fine. All right, so this is working all fine, as you can see. I'm actually going to try to put this maybe here on the side. And in here, I'm gonna put this one. Okay, something like this. Yeah, so I can just flip in between them and we can see the application better. Okay, so this is working. So let's get started with the first thing that I want to do. I'm going to stop this server. Actually, I'm going to stop this one that I have on the side as well. There's going to be a couple of things that I need to install. One of them is going to be Axios. Another one is going to be the HTTP proxy, which we will need to connect React and Node.js and React Router DOM. I think that's the only things we need. So npm Axios. Okay, I need to install Axios. I'm going to install everything now, so later on we don't need to be installing like one thing at each time. So we got Axios. Now I need to install npm I react-router-dom. So I need to install React Router DOM. Okay, I think it's all good in here. Let me see. Package.json. We got React Router DOM. We got Axios. There is one more thing that we need to install, npm I, which is the http-proxy-middleware. Okay, this is the package that we're going to use in order to connect the front end to the back end. So once this is all installed, we can just carry on. Okay, so this is all good. There's going to be a couple of things I need to just get rid of. I don't need this service worker file. I'm going to get rid of it. I don't need these setup tests. I don't need this logo.svg. Inside of my index.js, I'm going to get rid of these restricted modes. Okay, we don't need nothing of this stuff. I can get rid of this service worker. Can get rid of all this stuff. So my index.js is just this. So we are cleaning up stuff that we don't need. I don't need this app.test.js as well. So at the moment I have my app.css. I got my app.js, index.css, index.js. We could even clean a couple more things, but that's enough. Alright, so let's go into our function app. So let me see my function app. The first thing that I want to do is delete everything that is inside of here. Okay, and I'm going to start creating some routes. Alright, so let me delete this logo on the top. Okay, I'm going to import. I need to import from my browser router. If you guys don't know too much about this browser router, I actually have a video on my channel in here just dedicated to see how you can create a browser router and just navigate to different pages. So I'm going to import the switch. I'm going to import the route. So I'm going to import these three things from my React Router DOM. Okay. Now I'm going to set up my browser router. Okay, the browser router will allow me to just navigate through different pages with React. Okay, I'm just going to go in here. So inside of this div with the class of app, I'm going to have a component called nav, which does not exist at the moment, but we are going to create it in a second. Okay. Then I'm going to create what? I'm going to create a switch. Okay, this switch in here will make sure that we'll only just render one component per URL that we want to. Okay, inside of the switch, I'm going to create some routes. Okay, and I'm going to set this one to be exact. So we are going exactly there. So when I go to my URL on the path of just /, I want to render a component. And the component that I want to render is going to be the home one. At the moment, this component does not exist, but we are going to create it in a second. So let me close this. I think it's like this. Then I'm going to create another route, which I want to be exact as well. And the path is going to be to /register. So this is where I'm going to go in order to register a user. Okay, component. And the component that I want to have in here is going to be my form. Okay, because I want to create like a form component where I can put all this stuff in. Okay, let me close this. Now, obviously, we got 3 components at the moment that they don't exist. We have the nav, we have the home, and we have the form. So let's start in here with the nav. Okay, so I'm going to inside of my source, I'm going to create a folder called components so we can put all our components in there. The first one that I want to create is going to be my nav. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, new file, nav.js, and I'm also going to create a nav.css. Okay, this will make sure that whatever CSS styling I want to apply to these elements, I can just put in this file. So we can keep everything modular. Okay, I got my nav.js in here. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to do a RAFCE. This is inside of the CSS. This is not a place where I want this one. RAFCE. So RAFCE. This will create automatically for me this kind of boilerplate. So I don't need to write down everything. If you guys don't have this kind of extension that allows you to do that, if you go in here on the extensions tab and you press ES7, this is the extension that I'm using, this one, ES7, React, Redux, and so on. If you install this, you will be able to use this kind of shortcut like I did. Okay, so looks like this is good at the moment. Oops. So this is good. Now, what else do I need? Let me put this in here to have 2 tabs, and I'm just going to format this. Right, so I need to have a nav. I need to have a nav in here as well. Then inside, I'm going to have an H2 that is going to say MERN. Then I'm going to have an ordered list with one li and then another li, because I'm going to have 2 lists on my navigation bar. The first one that I want to have in here, I'm going to put a link. The link element, it's part of the React Router DOM. That's how we can actually click on an element and go to another page. So in here, when I'm saying link to, this is the actual button that I'm going to click and go to the /. Like I said, guys, if you want to know more about this React Router DOM, I have a video just about that. This video, I'm just focusing on building a MERN stack application. This is my home. Okay, I don't need to put all capitals. Home. And I'm going to create another link. This time is going to go to the /register. And I want to say register. Okay. Now that we created this component, okay, let's apply some CSS. So the first CSS I want to apply is on my nav. I want to apply a display of flex. Okay. I want to apply a justified content of space between. This is how you can put the logo on the left and then the links on the right. Then I'm going to set the background color. So background color to be 002333. I think that's the color that I want. I'm going to apply some padding. So we have some spaces all around, 10 pixels and then 50 pixels. And then finally, I'm going to put the color of the text inside to be white. So I'm going to use this hashtag FFF. This is what it does. Next thing, I'm going to say nav ul list style to be none. So we can get rid of those dots on the list. And finally, I'm going to say a nav a. At the moment, we don't have any nav a. We don't have any anchor element. But remember that these elements link from the React Router DOM. They will convert into anchor elements. That's why I have in here nav a. Alright, so what do I want to put in here? I want to get rid of the text decoration because it comes by default. So text decoration to be none. Then I want to put some padding around, which is going to be 5 pixels top and bottom, 10 pixels left and right. I want to have a font size of 20 pixels. I want to make sure that the font weight is also bold. And finally, I'm going to put the color of the text to be also white. Okay, we got all of this. Okay, we got all of this. Let me just increase the size of these a bit more. Maybe you can see better. So nav, this is all good. Let's go back to our nav.js. I want to import this CSS. So import from / means that we are in the same level of directory, and I want to import the nav.css. Okay, let's save this. Now I'm going to go back to my app.js. Remember that you got in here this nav. So I need to import it, of course. So I'm going to say import nav from, and I'm going to put in here / I need to go inside of the components folder, and inside of the components folder I want to grab the nav.js file. To make sure this is working, let me just comment this code out from the switch. And now let me clear this. Okay, I'm going to start my project. So I'm going to do npm start. So let's see if this is working, guys. Okay, just refreshing the page. Link is not defined. It means that in our nav.js we are using the link, but we didn't import it. Okay, so we need to import link from React router DOM. Okay, so this should solve our problem. Look, at the moment you got MERN and you got in here home and register. I think there's something that I forgot on my code. I think what we probably are missing is if I put in here nav li, I'm gonna set this one to be a display of inline block. Okay, I think this might solve our problem. And as you can see, look, we got our MERN, which is our logo, we got our home and register. If you look on the top, on the URL, is even changing it. Okay, we can just get rid of this stuff. Okay, home register. Right, this is fine. Let's move on to our new component, which is the home. So new file, home.js, and another file, which is the home.css. Okay, so for my home.js, let me just see, I want to put in here, okay, let me go in here, my home.js, I'm going to do RAFCE, which stands for React Arrow Function Component with an export. That's it, creates it for us. What I want to do in here is, let me just convert this into 2 tabs, format this. I want to have a div with a class name of container. Okay, then I want to have inside an h1 with a class name of title, and inside of it I just want to have, like, for example, at the moment saying no users. Later on we're going to make this dynamic, and then inside I'm going to have an unordered list with a couple of users. Okay, for now I'm going to hard code them. So I'm going to put li, I'm going to put like 2 li's. I'm going to put name like this. I'm going to put John. I'm going to put this name in here with a bold tag, so it can look a bit bolder. So name John, and then I'm going to put in here email with also a bold. So like this, bold. Okay, and I'm going to put in here John at email.com. Okay, I'm just going to copy this 2 times. Okay, I'm just hard coding it because later on we will change it anyway. I'm going to put all users, all users at the moment because we have some. All right, so now that I got this home page, I believe I have everything in here that I need. Okay, let's apply some CSS. So the CSS that I want to apply is, let me see, I want to have a class name on my UL of users. And I think that's about it. Okay, we got this. Let's go to our home.css. I'm going to say that my users, which is the UL, I want to get rid of the list style to be none, so we don't have this kind of dots as you might have seen. And then I want to apply on my users li. I want to apply a font size of 24 pixels. And then I'm going to do a margin. Where is it? Margin bottom of 24 pixels. Okay, so we need to import the CSS on the top. So I'm going to do import. I'm going to do dot slash. I want to grab the home.css. Okay, I always like to give my semicolon in the end. Now that I got my home.js, there's one thing that I would like to add on my app.css. There's a lot of this kind of CSS styling in here from before. I'm going to get rid of all of them because I don't need. But I'm going to put on my app.css a couple of stylings because I'm going to be using on multiple different pages. So if you remember on my home.js, there is this container. I'm going to use this container in more pages. So on the app.css, which is going to cover all the files, I'm going to put in here a container. Okay, I'm going to set this up with a margin. So margin top of 80 pixels, for example. I'm going to set the background color. So background color of white. Okay, this is the hexadecimal of it. Then I'm going to set this. I want to have a width of 1024 pixels. I'm going to set the margin to be 80 pixels on the top, auto for left and right so we can center this on the page, and this one is for the bottom. I want to set the padding to be all 0, and finally I want this to have a minimum height of 500 pixels. Right, I believe this is all good now. Okay, so let's go to our app.js. Remember that this is our main file. I'm going to uncomment this code. I'm going to get rid of this page of the form because we still don't have the form component, but we need to import the home component that we just created. So let's do that. Import my home component from, okay, components, and now I want to go inside of the home.js. If you want, you can put the .js in here. Right, let's go back. Look, as you can see, you got in here your all users, you got in here the name, you got in here the name of these users, so that's all good. I think we are missing something. On my app.css, I want to set up the, let me see, the body of my page, okay, to have a background color of royal blue. Okay, is looking better, is looking better. Finally, I just want to grab my title. Okay, so if you remember, the title is this part in here that it says all users at the moment. I want to set this with the background color of light gray, so light gray, and the padding of 20 pixels top and bottom and 40 pixels left and right. Awesome. Okay, so this is our home page. We got all the users. We got the users in here at the moment hard coded, but later on we're going to show you how you can grab them from the database. And then we got our register page, which is the only thing missing for now. So let's do that. Inside of my components, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this form.js. And I'm going to create another one, which is going to be the form.css. Okay, so let me go my form.js. First thing I want to do is, on my form.js, RAFCE, React arrow function component export. Okay, I'm going to convert this so I can have only 2 spaces. You see these spaces that we got in here? This is like 4 spaces at the moment. I always like to click in here on the bottom where it says spaces. I want to select these using indenting tabs. I want to select 2 for the spaces. That's how I like to format my code. Okay, in here, now I'm going to create another div like this with a class name of container. Okay, remember that's why we set up this class in our app.css, so we can use this class everywhere, this container. Inside, I'm going to have an h1 with a class of title, just like on the home page as well. I'm going to say in here at the moment, just register the user. So register the user. Okay. And then inside of this, I'm going to create a form. I don't need any action in here at the moment. So I'm creating a form with a label. This label in here is going to say name, like this. Okay. Then I need to create, I believe it's an input. Okay. I'm going to put in here, inside of this input, a property called required. So if you try to submit your form with no values inside of it in one of the inputs, when you have this property, it will demand you. I will show you in a second. So required, I'm going to say that this input in here is going to be with a type of text. And what else do I need? I need to have in here an ID. Okay, this is ID, so I can connect this with my label. Okay, I'm gonna have this ID of username. And finally, I'm gonna have a name. You need to give a name to your input because this name is how you can actually grab the value of this input on your backend later on. I'm going to use the same name like my ID. Okay, so I got this input, all good. And I'm going to do the same thing for the next one. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, go back in here, put it in here. The second one is an email. This is going to be an input required. The type of this email is going to be an email as well, because if you're going to type down something that is not an email, it's going to complain. I'm going to say the ID of this input is going to be user email. And finally, the name is going to be user email as well. It could be. There's no problem with that. Okay, so I think I have everything. I just need a button. Okay, we need a button. All right. And now this button in here is just going to say register. Okay, and I think that's it. I'm going to put this button with a type of submit. Okay, because when we're going to click in here, we want to submit this form. And I believe that's it. Let's see. We just need to put some CSS now to this form. So I'm going to put in here a form, which is going to have a background color. So background color of white. I'm going to make sure this is white. I want to make sure that this is a display of inline block, so it only takes the necessary amount of space. Then I'm going to put a padding, so a bit of spacing in here of 25 pixels top and bottom and 50 pixels left and right. I want to make sure that I align the text, so text align to be on the left. I want this to have a minimum width of 500 pixels. And I want to have a border around this form of 1 pixel, solid black. Okay, This is all this for this form. Now I want to target the inputs inside of my form. I want to add a margin bottom to each one of them of 15 pixels, just to make some spaces in between them. And I want to have a line height. So line height. This will make sure that we can increase the height of our input so we can see better what's inside. Maybe like 30 pixels. I think there's only a couple of things more, which is the label. The label is going to have in here a font size. So font size of 25 pixels. And then it's going to have a font weight. A font weight of bold. Okay, we have just our button. So our button, I want to have a background color. You guys can even put whatever background color that you want, of course. So background color of, I'm going to say light green. And then a font size of 24 pixels. What else? A padding now of 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. I want to make sure that we don't have any border on the button, because when you create a button, by default, they have a border all around. I'm going to put in here a transition of 0.5 seconds, all is in out. This is just to make sure that when I hover this button, if there is going to be any sort of transition, it's going to be very smooth. I'm going to say that when I hover my button, when I hover my mouse on top of this button, I'm going to make sure that the mouse turns into a cursor. Finally, the last thing is, if I'm going to hover this button, I want to change the background color. So the background color to be just green. You can change the color for anything else that you want. Okay, we got all the CSS for this form. Let's import this on the top, because if you don't import the CSS, it's not going to work. So this is my form.css. And going back to my app.js, let's uncomment this route for our form. Oops, I did a mistake. So what am I missing? Yeah, I need to import the form. Import form from /components/form. And now we can uncomment this route. Okay, we should be all good. All right. I think I'm missing. If you guys want, you can leave it like that. I'm going to put on my form. Where is it? I'm going to put some break tags so we can go on to the next line. So a break tag looks like this. I'm going to do the same thing after this input. Like this. Okay. Make sure that you closed it, because it's a self-closing element. And that's better. Look, this is our front end, our home page, and this is our register. So we are all good with this. So guys, that's it for this video. We just built all the front end for our application. Now the next video is going to be for us to build the actual backend. So we're going to build it with Node.js, with Express. We're going to build all our APIs that we need. And then we're going to connect everything with the database and send the data from the front end to the back end to the database. And then we can display it on our front, of course. All right, that's it for this video, guys, and I will see you in the next one.